You might rule the world of commerce, shaping markets with a quiet command. You might be a gladiator in the arena of sport, body honed to perfection through sheer will. You might be a giant of intellect, capable of deconstructing the universe's greatest mysteries. Yet, faced with the simple arc of her waist, the delicate slope of her throat, one look from beneath her lashes, and your self-forged kingdom crumbles into dust. How is this possible? Because a primeval dragon slumbers in your mind, an ancient beast that has stalked the earth for 1,000,000 years. And it subsists on one thing alone, the female form. Your triumphs, your influence, your wealth mean nothing to it. The mere sight of her, the faintest hint of her scent, awakens it with a singular, roaring demand: possess. And so you, the architect of your destiny, find yourself shackled by this ancient appetite. They told you it was love, that it was cosmic connection or soulful romance. They coached you to be the gentleman, to offer bouquets and whispered verses. All of it was a grand illusion, a veil to conceal a savage truth. Today, we will tear that veil aside. I will not show you how to cage this dragon, a futile effort that breeds only weakness and neurosis. I will not show you how to slay it, for to do so would be to slay the very essence of your manhood. We will undertake a task far more sophisticated and powerful. We will learn to master it. We will deconstruct the code of your enslavement, molecule by molecule, and transform the invisible chains that bind you into the very reins of command. But be warned, to stop halfway is to arm yourself with a half-truth, a dangerous thing indeed. The ultimate key to your freedom will be revealed only at the end. So before we proceed, I ask that you like this video. If this is your first time here and you are committed to the pursuit of undiluted knowledge, subscribe this instant. And as we prepare to dive in, I'm curious about our global reach. Tell me, what city are you watching from? It is vital for me to know the breadth of our growing legion of enlightened men. Act 1, The Architecture of Servitude. Behold the first pillar of your servitude, the most ancient and formidable of your shackles, your unquenchable visual appetite. You must grasp a core tenet of your existence. As a man, your primary interface with reality is visual. Your other senses, hearing, smell, touch, are subordinate when the task is to assess a woman. Your brain operates as a high-speed biological scanner, processing hundreds of visual cues in microseconds to render a single, binary judgment, viable or not viable. This is neither virtue nor vice. It is merely your biological blueprint, an inheritance from 1,000,000 generations. Let us go deeper. What makes the visual channel so dominant? Because for the entirety of human history, sight was the male's only tool for instantly gauging the two factors paramount to the continuation of his line: health and fertility. Your cave-dwelling ancestor had no access to her medical history or genetic tests. He had only his eyes, and those eyes were programmed to hunt for specific signals that, to this day, can cause your mind to short-circuit. The primary visual trigger is the ratio of her waist to her hips, the fabled 0.7 figure spoken of by anthropologists. Its significance? A narrow waist and full hips are more than just an aesthetic preference, they are a biological certificate of fitness. It is a message, broadcast in the primal language of instinct, that her hormones are in balance, her body is healthy, and crucially, that she is optimized to bear healthy children. Your brain registers that specific curve, and a circuit inside you glows with a single word: jackpot. In the exact moment your eyes lock onto that geometry, a neurochemical tempest is unleashed in your mind. The amygdala, your lizard brain, floods your system with dopamine, the chemical of anticipation. Not the prize itself, but the intoxicating promise of it. This is the same neural pathway that enslaves the gambler to the slot machine, the addict to the needle. You see her form, and your brain howls, I must have that reward. And herein lies the master trap. This dopamine flood directly assaults your prefrontal cortex, the seat of your logic, reason, and willpower. In effect, your higher brain functions go offline. You are no longer a CEO, a creator, an analyst. You revert to a primitive hunter, eyes fixed on the most precious game he has ever encountered. Your ambitions, your duties, your principles, even the image of your current partner, all fade into the background. The master program, the directive for replication, has just been executed with overriding authority. Beyond the waist-to-hip ratio, other visual cues operate with the same brutal efficiency. Facial symmetry signals robust genetics. Clear, luminous skin speaks of youth and vitality. Lustrous hair, bright eyes, full lips, this is not the language of poetry, but of biology. Each feature is another checkmark on your instinct's internal ledger. When enough boxes are ticked, the system is overwhelmed. You no longer perceive a person, an individual with her own interior world. You perceive a perfect vessel, an ideal object for the fulfillment of your most fundamental biological purpose. This is the engine that powers your ability to stare at her photographs for hours. It is the engine that has built the multi-billion-dollar pornography industry. It is a direct exploitation of your built-in visual hunger. You are the addict. The female body, sculpted to specific proportions, is your substance. The most savage part of this truth is that none of it is your choice. It is a subroutine running in your operating system, 24/7. To recognize and accept this is the first, most arduous, yet most essential step in transforming this hunger from a crippling weakness into a focused instrument of power. But we will get to that. First, we must address the second element of your servitude, one that is even more insidious, for it enters you with every breath you take. Cause 2. The chemical siege. If your eyes are the scouts, your nose is the saboteur, infiltrating your subconscious to operate deep within your own territory. You can shut your eyes, but you cannot stop breathing. And it is on the air itself that she wages her most clandestine and potent campaign, the chemical one. We are speaking of pheromones, airborne compounds her body emits constantly, designed to interface with your brain beneath the threshold of consciousness. You don't register them as a scent in the way you would coffee or smoke. They operate on another level entirely, binding directly with your hypothalamus, that ancient control center governing your most primal drives, hunger, thirst, and the urge to reproduce. The primary chemical agent in her arsenal is a compound group known as copulins. Present in her vaginal secretions, their concentration spikes during ovulation. This is not an aroma, it is an executive order. An order refined over millennia of evolution that delivers a single, high-priority message to your brain: I am fertile. I am receptive. Claim me now. Your primal mind, upon receiving this transmission, is incapable of ignoring it. A cascade of physiological changes is initiated, your testosterone surges, your heart rate accelerates, your pupils widen. You become more aggressive, more tolerant of risk, more intensely focused on a single objective, her. And you have no idea why. You may rationalize it as intense chemistry, as a fateful encounter. The reality is, you have just been subjected to a successful chemical strike. This mechanism is so effective that it has been commercialized. Countless perfumes for women are laced with synthetic pheromones. Yet no artificial fragrance can replicate the potency of her natural signature. The unique scent of her skin, still damp from a shower. The fragrance of her hair on your pillowcase, a phantom that follows you through your day. The subtle, almost undetectable musk of her body in a state of arousal. Your brain catalogs every one of these signals, assembling a unique olfactory profile that can bind you to her more securely than any promise. You become addicted to her specific chemical signature. Her absence triggers a low-grade anxiety. Her presence brings a wave of common euphoria. She is, quite literally, hardwired into your limbic system. This is the level of insight you can expect from all my work. If this is the perspective you have been seeking, there is no better moment to subscribe. But the chemical siege does not end there. Following physical intimacy, her body floods with oxytocin, the bonding hormone. A woman's system produces it in exponentially larger amounts than a man's. This hormone acts as a powerful emotional cement, forging feelings of profound trust, safety, and attachment. For her, it is a mechanism to ensure the long-term protection of potential offspring. For you, it is a cage. Post-coitus, your testosterone levels plummet. You become relaxed, unguarded, suggestible. Meanwhile, her oxytocin is surging, etching her presence into the deepest pathways of your brain. The visual servitude, now reinforced by a chemical bond, becomes an inescapable fortress. You no longer merely desire her form. You begin to believe that your very survival depends on her. Cause 3, the testosterone imperative. Let us now examine your primary fuel source, which is also your most relentless warden, testosterone. You have been taught to view it narrowly, in terms of sex drive and muscle growth. This is a dangerously simplistic view. Testosterone is the hormone of the hierarchy. It is the chemical driver of ambition, conquest, and expansion. It is the force that forbids you from standing still. It compels you to strive, to clash, to dominate, and to plant your standard on new ground. The entirety of human civilization, from its sprawling empires to its voyages to the stars, can be seen as a grand sublimation of this restless male energy. Yet this energy demands a target, a focal point for its application. Nature, in its wisdom, provided one. It created the ultimate prize, the supreme objective for which the great game is played, the female body. This is the highest honor for your status, the ultimate validation of your strength and your victory in the arena of competition. Your drive to possess her is not some sentimental fancy. It is the instinct of the apex predator claiming his territory. It is the instinct of the emperor seizing the jewel of a conquered land. Freud himself, for all his flaws, intuited this truth when he named this primal force the libido. It is not a mere desire for physical release. It is the will to power, the will to life, expressed through the act of possession. And here, the truly diabolical game unfolds. A woman, sensing this hardwired imperative within you, can leverage it against you. Her aloofness, her indifference, her denial, these are not barriers, they are fuel for your testosterone. A rejection is not interpreted by your primal brain as a final answer, but as a challenge to be overcome. Your testosterone rises. You become more determined, more creative in your pursuit. The hunt begins. You expend your resources, your time, your capital, your emotional energy. You perform feats of strength and cunning to demonstrate your value. She skillfully transforms you from a sovereign man into a candidate, an applicant vying for the privilege of access to her body. And the longer the chase, the more precious the quarry appears, and the deeper your enslavement becomes. There is a constant war within you. Your rational mind asserts, "This is beneath me. She is not worth this effort. My mission is elsewhere." But your testosterone roars, "You cannot fail. You must conquer. You must prove your dominance." And 9 times out of 10, the primal roar is what you obey. You will sideline your purpose, compromise your values, and suffer indignities, all for a single objective: to claim your prize. The moment she finally yields, you are flooded with the euphoria of victory, but it is a hollow victory. You have not won your freedom. You have merely earned a temporary furlough from your servitude, by proving to your inner warden, testosterone, that you are still a worthy contender. Once the euphoria recedes, it will demand a new conquest, and the hunt will begin anew. This is the relentless cycle we are here to master. Act 2, the instruments of her influence. We have mapped your vulnerabilities. We have exposed the 3 foundations of your servitude: the visual appetite, the chemical dependency, and the testosterone imperative. Now, we proceed to the fascinating part, observing how she, whether through conscious strategy or instinctual genius, manipulates these vulnerabilities. How she plucks the strings of your biology, making you dance. This is an arsenal perfected over 1,000,000 years of evolution. To know these weapons is the first step toward rendering them useless. Tool 1, the economy of glimpses. This is the most ancient and devastatingly effective tactic in her arsenal. The art of the calculated reveal and the strategic concealment. The décolletage that offers not the full view, but the tantalizing hint of cleavage. The slit of a skirt that, with a turn, grants a fleeting glimpse of her thigh. The sheer fabric of a blouse that suggests, but never confirms, the lace beneath. A delicate strap, innocently slipping from her shoulder. These are not oversights. They are precision strikes, expertly aimed at your imagination. Why is this so much more powerful than complete nudity? The answer lies in a psychological principle known as the Zeigarnik effect. The human mind is wired to obsess over incomplete tasks and unresolved information. When you see her fully nude, the loop is closed. Your brain processes the data, files it away, and the psychological tension dissipates. But when you are given only a fragment, a hint, your imagination is conscripted into service. It labors to complete the image, to paint the unseen parts of the canvas. And the fantasy your own mind constructs is invariably more potent, more alluring, more perfect than any physical reality. She knows this instinctively. She deliberately creates an open loop in your psyche. She provides just enough data to stoke your visual hunger to a fever pitch, while denying its satiation. You begin to fixate on her. You replay the image of how the silk draped over her skin, how light caught the curve of her calf. The thought becomes an intruder, then a resident in your mind. It colonizes your dreams. It sabotages your focus at work. You are ensnared before a single touch has been exchanged. She has weaponized your own mind against you. Your imagination has become her most powerful asset, and your most dangerous foe. Recall any number of instances. She bends over, by chance, in a way that deepens the V of her dress. She crosses her legs, and the hem of her skirt creeps up by a single, deliberate inch. She stretches, and her shirt lifts, exposing a sliver of skin above her waist. Each gesture is a perfectly calibrated micro-provocation, engineered to trigger the dopamine spike we discussed earlier. These are the small, periodic doses of her drug, administered throughout the day to maintain your dependency at a stable, elevated level. She never allows you the agony of full withdrawal, nor the release of a full high. She holds you suspended in a state of perpetual wanting, and from that state, you can be led to do anything for the promise of a full dose. Tool 2, the vocabulary of vulnerability. This is a subtler, more insidious instrument. She employs nonverbal cues that your primal brain interprets as signals of fragility, deference, and the need for protection. In truth, these are gestures of absolute control. This isn't submission. This is orchestration. She displays weakness for the precise purpose of activating your strength and then steering it toward her own objectives. What are these cues? In conversation, she tilts her head, exposing her neck. In the primal lexicon, this is a profound gesture of trust and vulnerability, akin to a wolf baring its throat to the alpha. Your brain decodes the signal, I am safe with you. You are the protector. The protector archetype within you instantly comes online. You find yourself wanting to solve her problems, to shield her from the world. She has activated your hero complex without uttering a single word. Consider another example. She sweeps her hair back, revealing the inside of her wrist. This delicate, sensitive area is another symbol of vulnerability. In displaying it, she broadcasts a message, I am feminine, I am soft. Your brain's immediate, reflexive response, I am masculine, I am strong. She may look up at you through her lashes, a gesture that mimics the wide-eyed innocence of a child. This single look can bypass your critical faculties entirely, engaging your instinct to nurture and provide. The great psychologist Carl Jung wrote of the archetypes, primal, universal patterns that reside in the collective unconscious. Within every man is the hero, the protector, the king. Within every woman, the maiden, the princess in the tower. Her gestures of weakness are the keys that unlock these archetypes from your subconscious. She casts you in a role of her own design, and you embrace it, because it makes you feel powerful, necessary, vital. What you fail to recognize is that you are merely the lead actor in a play where she is the silent director. She makes accidental contact, her fingers brushing your arm as she speaks. This fleeting touch triggers a micro-release of oxytocin, creating a manufactured sense of rapport and intimacy. She laughs at your jokes with a warmth that grants you the social validation every man subconsciously craves. She asks for your help with a trivial task, to open a stubborn jar, to lift a heavy object. In doing so, she provides a stage for you to perform your masculinity, to feel competent and useful. Each of these gestures is a quiet deposit into the bank of your compliance. She does not command you. She creates a context in which serving her becomes your own desire. Tool 3, the currency of intimacy. This is the most cold-blooded and cynical tool in her arsenal. At a deep, instinctual level, she understands that her sexuality is her ultimate resource. It is her prime currency in the transactional reality of men and women, and she wields this currency as a tool of behavioral modification, using the timeless method of reward and punishment. She grants you intimacy for behavior that pleases her, and withholds it for behavior that does not. The most terrifying aspect of this is that you are often an unwitting participant in this economy, one in which you are cast as the eternal borrower, and she, the unforgiving lender. How does this manifest? You have complied with her wishes, you bought the expensive gift, you spent the weekend with her family, you cancelled your plans to be with her. That evening, you receive your payment. She is warm, passionate, and eager in bed. Your brain forges a powerful neural link between your compliance and the experience of peak pleasure. A conditioned response is established, no different from Pavlov's dogs. Obey, and you will be rewarded with sugar. And so you, a supposedly sovereign man, begin to subconsciously maneuver for her approval, all to earn another taste of that sugar. Now, consider the alternative. You have done something to displease her. You voiced a dissenting opinion. You dedicated too much time to your own mission. You refuse to concede a point. What happens that night? I have a headache. I'm just too tired. Maybe some other time. She withdraws intimacy. She is now using sex as a cudgel. Your brain, conditioned to expect its dopamine reward, experiences a painful withdrawal. You feel rejected, invalidated, and guilty. To avoid this unpleasant state in the future, the next time you consider defying her will, You will hesitate. This is manipulation in its purest form, built upon the bedrock of your most basic instincts. She transforms sex from a shared expression of passion into an instrument of governance. Access to her body becomes a variable commodity in the market of your relationship, and she alone sets the price. She can induce inflation, demanding ever greater investments of your resources for the same return. She can trigger a market crash, cutting off access entirely for an unspecified duration. And you are left scrambling like a frantic day trader, trying to guess what moves you must make to get the numbers back in the green. In this process, you lose your center, your autonomy, your dignity. You are no longer a partner, but a supplicant, a provider of services whose payment is rendered in the currency of sex. It is the most degrading form of servitude, for it is one you willingly enter, blinded by the brilliance of your own biological imperatives. Act 3, The Path to Sovereignty. We have completed an unflinching diagnostic. We have laid bare your biological source code and dissected the instruments used to manipulate it. The picture is stark. It might seem that you are trapped, condemned to be a pawn of your instincts for life. This is a falsehood. An exit exists. It is found not in a war against your own nature, but in its profound understanding and mastery. You must cease to be a consequence of your programming and become the programmer. You cannot slay the dragon, but you can, and you must, learn to ride it. Here are the 4 disciplines that will show you how. Step 1, Consciousness. Identify your beast. The first and most critical discipline is to cease resisting your attraction and instead to consciously acknowledge it. Stop shaming yourself for desiring the feminine form. Stop labeling this drive as base, unclean, or unevolved. It is your nature. It is the collected wisdom of a million years of survival. To suppress it is to create a civil war within yourself, a conflict that will bleed you of power and create only neurosis. In place of suppression, wield awareness. In the moment you see a woman and feel the dragon stir within, do not surrender to it, but do not try to force it back into its lair. Instead, take a mental step back and assume the role of the internal spectator. Say to yourself, there it is. I feel the acceleration of my heart. I feel my focus narrowing to her. I feel the primal urge to possess. Fascinating. In that moment, a profound shift occurs. You disidentify your conscious self from the instinct. You are no longer the instinct, you are the one who is observing the instinct. You give your dragon a presence. You acknowledge its power, but you do not cede your authority. You say to it, I see you. I know your desire, but I am the one who decides our course of action. This is an act of radical acceptance of your own nature, and it is the foundation of all control. Make this a constant practice. At work, on the street, at a social gathering. Each time your eyes are drawn to a female form, initiate the process of observation. Analyze your own response. What was the specific trigger? The curve of her hips? Her gait? The sound of her laugh? How did your body respond? What was your first, unfiltered impulse? Turn this into a field of study. Study your dragon as a biologist would a magnificent and dangerous creature. Learn its habits, its triggers, its strengths, and its vulnerabilities. The more intimately you know it, the less power it has to ambush you and seize control. Consciousness is the lamp you carry into the dark cellars of your own psyche. The monsters that seem so terrifying in the shadows are revealed, in the light, to be mere phantoms on the wall, phantoms you can command. Step 2, The law of scarcity. Become the prize. A woman is instinctively drawn to value, and the ultimate signal of value is scarcity. For as long as you are perpetually available, ready to drop everything at her summons, gazing at her with the eyes of a starving man, your value in her perception is negligible. You are not a treasure to be won. You are like the air she breathes, abundant, free, and taken for granted. To reverse this dynamic, you must engineer a scarcity of your most precious asset, yourself. Your time, your focus, your vital energy. This is not a call for juvenile games like wait 4 hours to text her back. This is a call for a fundamental reorientation of your entire existence. Your life must not orbit her. It must orbit your mission, your purpose, your grand objective. You must cultivate your own world, your own projects, your own wars that demand the best of you. Your calendar must be dictated not by the hope of her call, but by the concrete actions that move you toward your goals. When you are consumed with the building of your own empire, be it in business, art, or self-mastery, a woman naturally ceases to be the center of your cosmos. She becomes a welcome and beautiful planet in your solar system, but you are the sun. When she senses that your time is a genuinely scarce commodity, she will begin to compete for it. She will start to treasure the moments you grant her. When she understands that your focus is aimed at a target larger than herself, she will strive to earn a place within that focus. Her competition is no longer with other women, but with your very purpose in life. This single shift changes the entire game. You are no longer the petitioner. You are the prize. She begins to invest in you, to earn access to your world. She begins to strategize on how to become a part of your journey, not how to make you a character in hers. Create a vacuum. Relinquish the role of the constant initiator. Allow her the space to miss you, to feel the weight of your absence. Your silence can often be more potent than any declaration. In the void left by your absence, she begins to ask questions. Where is he? What is he so focused on? Why haven't I heard from him? Her mind will begin to create its own narratives, to fill in the blanks. Your image will grow in her mind, magnified by mystery and perceived value. Remember this: we do not value that which is easily had, but we will fight desperately to reclaim that which we fear we are losing. Become the man she is terrified of losing, and she will offer you the keys to the kingdom herself. Step 3. Redirecting energy. Discover your cause. This is the logical and existential culmination of the second step. The only way to truly break the spell of an obsession with a woman is to cultivate a more powerful obsession. Your sexual energy, your libido, is the most potent, creative force you possess. It is a nuclear furnace at your core. Left undirected, this energy is chaotic and destructive. It manifests as ambient lust, anxiety, and annoying dissatisfaction. In this state, a woman becomes the most convenient and obvious target for the release of this internal pressure. But you can seize control of this energy and channel it into creation. Freud termed this process sublimation. You take the raw, primal force of the reproductive instinct and transmute it into fuel for the attainment of higher aims. Instead of chasing women, you begin to chase your destiny. Instead of conquering a woman, you begin to conquer your corner of the world. You must find your war, your great work, your mission, the one thing that sets your soul on fire and makes all lesser distractions fade away. This could be anything: building a company from the ground up, writing a great novel, creating a transcendent piece of music, achieving a breakthrough in science, pushing the limits of athletic performance. The only criterion is that the goal must be larger than yourself. It must challenge you to your core, demand absolute commitment, and force you to evolve into a superior version of yourself. When a man finds his great war, a profound transformation occurs. His eyes change. They hold a new depth, a new purpose. His movements become more deliberate and assured. He begins to radiate an aura of the centered, masculine power. A man consumed by his mission is no longer starving. He is nourished. He derives his dopamine and serotonin not from the fickle validation of a woman, an external source, but from his own tangible achievements, an internal source. And here, the ultimate paradox reveals itself. At the precise moment he ceases to need a woman as his primary objective, he becomes maximally attractive to all women. They look at him and see not a needy supplicant, but a self-contained creator, an architect of his own reality. They desire to be a part of that reality. They are drawn to his energy. He is an enigma they wish to solve. His self-possession is the ultimate aphrodisiac. The hunter has ceased his hunt, and now, he is the one who is hunted. Step 4. The mindset of the player, not the pawn. This is the final, transcendent chord. Once you have integrated the first 3 steps, once you have identified your dragon, created your own scarcity, and devoted yourself to your war, you ascend to a new plane of existence. You are no longer a slave. You are now a player. You begin to see the intricate dance between men and women not as a battle for survival, not as a market for negotiation, but as a grand and beautiful game. A game for which you now know all the rules. You can still appreciate her beauty with genuine admiration. You can delight in the curve of her hip, the light in her eyes, the sound of her laugh, but it is the detached appreciation of a connoisseur admiring a masterpiece, not the desperate craving of a starving man for a morsel of bread. You see her subtle tactics, her manipulations, her accidental gestures, but they no longer elicit a reflexive, programmed response. You see them, and you smile to yourself, a knowing, private smile. You watch her attempt to push your buttons, unaware that you have already rewired the entire system. You begin to derive pleasure from the art of seduction, of flirting, of connection itself, but you do so from a position of power and amusement, not from a position of need. You can play along with her game, feigning that you are caught in her web, only to slip away at an unexpected moment, leaving her in a state of intrigued confusion. You have turned her theater into your own. Your ultimate power now resides in your absolute lack of neediness. You do not need her body to validate your masculinity. You do not need her approval to feel worthy. You do not need her presence to complete you. You are, on your own, already whole. And it is this state, this fusion of total self-sufficiency with a light, playful sense of detachment, that makes you utterly irresistible to her. For this is the unmistakable signature of the alpha, the highest-ranking male. A man who has journeyed inward, tamed his own demons, and now chooses the rules by which he will live. He is no longer shackled by the female form. He is the sovereign architect of his own existence. And that, my friend, is the true art of being a man. Do not slay the beast within. Master it. By understanding and embracing your slave nature, you do not crush it, you transcend it, transforming your greatest vulnerability into your ultimate source of power and influence. You cease being a puppet of your instincts and become their master. And that, my friend, is the beginning of true freedom. And now for the final, most important question, directed at those of you who have completed this journey. I have laid out my philosophy, but I know that this community is comprised of thousands of men with deep wells of experience. I want you to access that experience. Recall the most powerful example from your own life that illustrates the theme of this video. A time when you were driven purely by instinct, a slave to your own biology. What was the situation, what were your actions, and what was the outcome? Triumph or disaster? Share your anonymous story in the comments. Let us build not just a collection of thoughts here, but a veritable encyclopedia of raw, male experience.